Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. We're continuing with our look back at the 2004, 2003, 2004 reboot version of Battlestar Galactica, and we're at season 2. Alright, so season 2, we have the ship is in chaos because the fleet is in chaos because you've got Adama now in sick bay, nearly on his deathbed. You've got Boomer, who's been identified to be a Cylon. Although there is one question: how did they jump to the conclusion immediately? I mean, I know Racetrack says that she was missing for a little while. She didn't take a too long time before they dropped the nuclear device and before leaving, so they don't really. And then she came back without a headset, but. How did they all jump to the conclusion that she is a Cylon? But she does act like something has been switched on, and the way that she reacts after that, she doesn't realize that she's the one who actually shot the beloved commander. So because of the mutiny, Apollo's in the brink. And so there's a lot of things that are quite chaotic, and in between of all of this, you've got the away team that crash lands on Kobol, and because of the Cylons, the rest of the fleet has to move away. However, Roslin manages to get a sort of mutiny going, and her supporters. They all, their spaceships basically move away from the Galactica, and they go back to Kobol, even with the threat, the imminent threat of the Cylons. The part that they focus on with the survivors on the Raptors, on Kobol, is those parts are really some of my favorite stuff because it is kind of a dogfight. Between them and the Cylons, they need to survive. There's more than a little bit of tension because their commanding officer isn't that experienced, but you've got the chief, Galen Tyrol, who is quite experienced in handling and commanding people, even though he's not an enlisted officer. And so his comments and his suggestions are taken in well. But at the same time, we've also got Vice President Baltar. Now, here's some of the stuff which is really pissing me off because while they're in the fire, he gets a vision of Galactica 6, trying to rescue him. Although it is actually one of the soldiers. One of the colonial warriors instead, and and all of this, you've also got what is her name now? You've also got Starbuck going back to Caprica to find the Arrow of Athena, discovering that Boomer is. I mean, she is the one who actually discovers properly that Boomer is a Cylon, and that she is now carrying the child of she is now carrying the child of Hilo. So there's a lot that they pack in the 20 episodes in this series, in this season. And the 20 episodes, there's a weight, and the continuity really is done well. I mean, because it's a series version. So those are some of the highlights from the initial parts. There's the when Colonel Ty basically makes, and even admits he made a big mess of things when prompted by his wife Ellen. But at the same time, when he was in command during the absence of the commander, because since he was shot and recovering from that injury, so he knows that he's made a mess up. But here's a friendship and trust that both of them have each other. He immediately tells them that I fracked things up when Adama comes out of his coma and is on his way to recovery, and Dama just tells him like, we're going to fix it together. That's the friendship and the mutual trust and admiration, and even you can even say kind of like friendship, more than friendships, almost like brothers. That that they know that together they're much more stronger, and that friendship will actually have a lot of repercussions when much later on in the episode because of what happens. We also have Starbuck and Hilo, trying to meeting the group of resistance who are on Caprica, which is basically the Buccaneers, Caprica City Buccaneers. I think that's what they call, led by Michael Trucco's character, who is Samuel Anders, and his team. They're basically they don't know whether Hilo and Starbuck are actually Cylons or whether they're humans, because now they're aware since they've been hiding. So they've actually formed a good resistance group. They attack and they get ammunition, save as much as they can, weapons and supplies, and they have a base in the mountains. They were able to escape the effects of the nuclear of the attack, because of the fact that they were higher up in the mountains for a training, and because of that it doesn't travel. I mean, they were more safe. However, after Hilo and I forgot to mention that Boomer, being scared off by Starbucks trying to attack her when she finds out that she's a Cylon, takes off with Starbucks the captured Cylon vessel that they have, the Cylon Raider. So, there's a lot of really good options over here, but the fact that they find, that they're the main part led by, and this happens quite much later in the season, that when they all finally do meet Athena, who later will be called as Athena, when they find that Hilo's been with this particular version of Boomer. Initially they don't trust her, they want to put in the brake, they want to even kill her, but they manage to convince that she can help them, and she knows how to open the tomb. She leads them to a cave, and in the cave, using the arrow, they're able to find what they initially say is that they're kind of like temporarily transported through some. None of this is explained, of course, but seem to be like they are actually on Earth and they're able to see the constellations. And because of those, they find that this is roughly the location of Earth, and that's very. And so all this stuff. I think season 2's got really, really good episodes. Overall, it is season 3 where things kind of like do lag for me, but season 2's got really, really good episodes. And towards the end, they're able to, there's a election going on, and now with head Caprica 6 in his mind, the elections, basically they're trying to get President Roslin, for the actual elections. He opposes President Roslin, and Baltar is trying to get the presidency, and there's a lot of things that happen over there. Amazing show, really, really political. And if it wasn't so much about the religious aspect of it, and I know it plays a great deal into the show, but if it wasn't for that religious, because it reminds me of toxic Christianity, the fundamentalism, and it's meant to. It is meant to remind you of monotheistic, you know, things, both Islam as well as Christianity. But the way that and the stuff between Baltar and Head Six, those are some of the things that I don't like. Mainly the religious aspects and the fact that all she seems to be taking him through is sex, and that's so like they don't really do explain too much about it. Is it actually a chip in him? Is it a residue of her because she protected him when the blast happens on Caprica? How is it that he's got a portion of her embedded in his mind? There's a football match going on. That's why I'm actually partly distracted over there. So, and things will get even more complicated down the line. But um, the showrunners, they actually did mention that they didn't actually plan for a lot of it, so they just let things flow, and there's no explanation for certain things, and that's because they didn't actually plan for it. So they wanted to be as mysterious as possible, which, to be honest, if it weren't for the fact that the rest of the show is actually written really well, plus the acting is awesome, would actually fall flat on its face. So I think they got lucky because, one, they had an excellent cast and they did have good writers, but when they added all these elements that didn't make sense, that have no answers, and people have tended to actually ignore those things, but at the same time the religious aspect does really push me off the edge kind of bit, especially every time I mentioned this earlier, every time God's love and all that, God's plan and bull crap that is put in, like, where the bloody hell was this God for a long time, right? So it is not really explained well, but I do think I have my own explanations as to what it is. It is kind of touched upon in the prequel series Caprica, and therefore I'm okay with it. If it is that the way that they were leading, is it a combination of certain things and all that? We'll discuss that in a later video. But yeah, this is probably the strongest season for me, and it's only 4 seasons, including the mini series. But I think it's really done well. The struggles that they actually have, and so towards the end they do discover she had promised, Starbuck had basically promised Anders and the rest of the team that she would come for him, but they do go and get them back. Part of that is actually shown in the TV movie The Plan. I mean, exactly what happens, but we do get to see them bringing these guys back. They also bring Brother Cavils, who is a Cylon, and his counterpart, his another copy of him, was on the planet, and they take him as well. They show that as well in The Plan. So there's a lot of things that they haven't really focused on, but actually show in the Plan, which I really liked. And towards the end, oh yeah, how can I forget this? So there is the big part of this is is the Pegasus. How did I completely miss that out? So just like the first, just like in the former, the previous show, we have Pegasus, which is another Battlestar that's actually was actually trying to fight. They were away from the colony, so they escaped. They were fighting the Cylons, head by Admiral Helena Kane. Again, they did a sex differentiation over here when he was male in the movies, but then most of the main characters were male. The military especially. The colonial warriors especially were mostly shown as male. There were a few females definitely there, but the big names were definitely all male. Excuse me. And in this one you have Helena Kane played by the absolutely awesome. I'll always remember as Ensign Roe Laren, but Michelle Forbes plays a wonderful, tough commander. She clashes head with Rosalind and Adama, but she out. Excuse me, I'm getting the hiccups for no reason. But she outranks him, and therefore there's a few things that he cannot do. So there is a mutiny led by uh, him against her for some time, and at one point both of them decide that they have to kill the other so that things can actually progress. There is a lot of hot-headedness that comes with both of them, but I believe in this particular case, knowing for a fact that, I mean, even if she outranks him, um, she's got this legendary, iconic status. She should have realized, you know, that Adama has taken care of the fleet for this long, so therefore she should defer a lot of things to him and not have the military teams mix. She does that to put her stamp of authority on this, and you know, I think she was really arrogant for that, and rightly she does get killed towards the end. How does she get killed? Because she actually has a version of Six on her ship, who is a contracted employee working on the like, you know, I think the technical aspects of things, and she's not a part of the military, but she's on the ship to do a lot of work on it when the attack happened. And Helena Kane and the Six become lovers, and you know, when she finds out, and this is shown much later, but when she does find out, this is actually shown on Razor, that this she's a Cylon. She goes completely ballistic, and she puts her in the brig, has one of her men torture her, rape her, beat on her, spit on her, you know, really mentally torture her as well as physically torture her. And when Baltar sees his empathy levels, because he does love Caprica, and when he sees the way that she's in, he goes and helps her. He helps her to escape, and she's the one who actually shoots Helena Kane dead. There's also just before this happens, there's also the resurrection ship thing, which basically they decide to do a mission to first photograph and then destroy the resurrection ship. So like that, there's lots and lots of good things to unpack in this particular season. It is very difficult to pack all of this in you know, one video, but then again, I didn't want to do a episode by episode for now, so I don't plan on doing it either. Maybe for a new show I don't mind doing it, and I didn't mind doing it for Battlestar Galactica's the original series, because it was only one season, and the Galactica 1980 was also only just 10 episodes, so I didn't mind doing it. But yeah, this is going to be really difficult, so let's see how it goes. Yeah, so towards the end they do find this planet, and Baltar, they actually do try and scheme to get the win for Rosalind. However, it is found out, and by Mr. Gator, he's the one who actually does his investigation. He didn't mean it, but he did find out that there is a problem, and Baltar is declared the winner as the president of and his thing is, they find this planet where they can settle. It is going to be difficult for them. It's not got that much of vegetation and stuff, but it is enough for them to actually try and settle on and find a home. Not find a home, but make a home for themselves. So Baltar decides that as his first presidential ruling, he's going to make them all go and settle on the planet. However, militarily, the two ships, now Pegasus, which is now under the command of Apollo, and you have the Galactic as well. So Adama has now become a admiral, and Apollo's promoted to commander. Tide doesn't want to take it, so it falls on Apollo. So those two ships, they are still in the they're still on orbit around the planet. Adama has decided to stay back. He convinces Tai to go down. Saltai to go down along with his wife Ellen, because they want to really settle down on the planet. Although he doesn't want to do it, he wants to stay with Adama as long as he's needed. But he tells him that there's very few people on board, so they decide to. Majority of the people do go down, but there's enough people to to run the things on the two ships, and the rest of the people settle down. Things are not that great, and a year later, we find the Cylons have discovered them. They land, and as the episode ends, you see the Cylons marching towards the Townsend Center, and so that's how that particular season ends. Absolutely amazing. I don't think they have managed to capture the brilliance of season 2 and anything else. I mean, season 1 is really good. The miniseries is really good. But I think season 3 kind of like drags me down a little bit. As does, I mean, some people say a lot of the things that they've shown are realistic, that could happen in a society that's very similar to ours. But yes, those kind of aspects are also kind of boring for me. So that's basically it about season 2 of Battlestar Galactica. So in between this video and season 3's review, I am going to do the review for Razor, which is very important because it happens during the season 2 parts, or right even before. It starts off from before season 2, so we get to see how things on the Pegasus. Alright, so that's basically it. As if you look at it as just a season, I would probably give this season a 9.5 out of 10. A really amazing season 2 Battlestar Galactica. Thank you guys. Good night.